I recently saw Child's Play 2, the sequel to the original Child's Play in 1988, about a murderous doll who tries to take Andy's soul. Is he successful this time? Let's find out in 1990's Child's Play 2. Whoa, careful where you whip that. Fuck? The movie takes place months in Chicago after Chucky was burned and shot in the last Child's Play. My first question is, how is that one eyeball so clean? Didn't Chucky get destroyed last time? And shouldn't he be bleeding? I mean, he was turning human last time, no? Where's all the blood? I'm assuming they're cleaning the original Chucky doll, but how the fuck do they not notice human teeth? They're literally replacing its skin, but they can't fix that? I don't think dolls should have teeth, nor laugh in real life. And if good guys don't come with teeth, shouldn't that be evidence that the doll was possessed by Charles Lee Ray? Or who the hell's investigating this case? I mean, seriously, how do you not notice his teeth? We get an inside look on how the good guy dolls are originally made, and oh, that is bullshit. The doll was not originally cheaply built like that. Compare the doll's body to the original. Why does this movie keep lying to me? Also, how are they going to prove that the doll isn't alive if they're literally replacing everything about the doll? And where's all the human flesh from the original Child's Play? The beginning to this movie makes no sense. We then find out what happened after the events of Child's Play, including Andy's mom.
The police were smart. They denied everything, but the mother's a different matter. She backed up her boy's story in court, so now she's under psychiatric observation.
Well, that sucks. Wait, what do you mean the police denied it?
The police were smart. They denied everything.
What happened to the two guys who were there? Didn't they give their statements to the boys in blue? Or did the cops just not do anything like always? How is any of this making sense? The president of Good Guy Dolls, or whatever the hell his title is here. And the scientists or toy repairmen aren't even ready yet, which they should have been prepared a long time ago. The president has important places to go, goddammit. Well, the president of Good Guy Dolls. The machine gets stuck, so the brilliant scientist slash repairman hits the machine physically with his hand. And despite having all his parts replaced, Chucky magically comes back when his new eyes are inserted. RIP scientist repairman. The ambulance arrives and Chucky escapes because there's no cameras in the facilities like this. Oh, never mind. The president of Good Guy Dolls wants this mess covered up, and he gives some really good life advice.
What do you want me to do with the doll? Just pick it up your ass.
We meet Andy and his new foster parents, who are very superstitious about Andy, so why are they even adopting him?
He murdered a dozen people in this series of ritual voodoo.
And don't get me started on the dad. He's worried about Andy's dangerous stories when dad over here nearly kills him in under 5 minutes of legally owning him, for Christ's sake. Also, what a coincidence that the same character that changed a child's life, negatively mentally impactful, would show up on a truck. I'm also surprised that they kept the Good Guys brands despite all the murderers that they're connected. Yeah, they didn't have Twitter, so they couldn't get cancelled back then, or get boycott. Yeah, it was the 90s, so the corporate blamed it on a child despite all the evidence being present and people who witnessed it all. We get to Andy's new house where he gets treated like shit. Phil disrespects Andy, so Andy throws a little shade at Luann.
Grandmother gave it to my mother, and my mother gave it to me.
And who are you gonna give it to?
We meet Andy's new foster sister, Kyle, who happens to be my favorite character in this film.
Jesus. Did you ever hear it knocking?
Also, how is she worried about getting caught smoking in a room if cigarettes can be smelled from other rooms in the house? Yeah, they're pretty strong. Joanne, the foster mom, threatens Kyle with her husband's toxic American male masculinity.
Phil will shoot you if he catches you again.
Andy sees his new temporary room. Ah yes, a new room filled with toys, fun, sunshine, and rainbows, and oh shit! Oh, never mind. And despite both parents being aware of Andy's history, the dad still yells at him for Andy having PTSD.
Andy, rule number 2, no running in the house. It's only a doll. Andy, are you listening to me?
And why didn't the parents get rid of the Good Guy doll in the first place? They're both aware of Andy's story, so it's kind of their fault, to be honest. Meanwhile, back at the Good Guy corporate's office, after a long day of work, the assistant finally goes home, but not before he rightfully makes Chucky mad. But before that, we learn that the assistant has good taste in bad women.
Hello, Gabrielle. Guess who? The vodka. Oh, the vodka. Of course I remembered the vodka. 2-week anniversary. Think I'd forget the vodka?
So he goes to the store where we learn via Chucky that you can get the address to any foster kid in the system, only if you ask nicely, of course. That social worker should be fired.
Who is this? This is his Uncle Charles.
Chucky makes it to Andy's house where we get our first real Chucky kill of Child's Play 2. We have Andy's foster mom reading to him as Chucky sneaks in, but how doesn't anyone hear this or hear his signature laugh while he buries the original doll? We have Andy bonding with his foster sister Kyle, and not gonna lie, their chemistry is pretty good in this movie.
What the hell do you think you're doing? I wanted to taste it. get real. It tastes like shit, okay? These things are very bad for you.
Andy overhears his foster mom talking nicely about him, so he decides to try to get rid of his fear of the good guy dolls. Also, despite them knowing Andy has PTSD over good guy dolls, they still haven't gotten rid of the original. I mean, seriously, haven't you learned the first time? Jesus, no wonder you guys don't have children. We then cut to Andy and Kyle doing some gardening outside, and I like the scene how Chucky panics as Andy and Kyle play above Tommy's burial ground.
Andy, I'll kill you! Come on! Let me off! Andy!
Later that night, Chucky reveals himself to Andy that he's back, and they play to hide the soul one last time. But luckily, a rebellious Kyle interrupts the ceremony by sneaking into Andy's window. Wait, why didn't she use her own window in her room? I mean, girl, you are hammered. Andy's foster parents come in, and I love how Kyle reacts to Phil's anger.
Tied this child up so we wouldn't tell on you. Is that it?
Oh, come on, Phil.
That's enough now.
Phil has enough of Andy's history with Chucky, so he throws him into the basement. I mean, why couldn't you do this before Andy moved in? And also, how is it more brighter in the basement when the lights are off? This house runs on reverse psychology, I tell you. We find out that Chucky's turning human in this new body.
I'm turning human again? If I don't get out of this body soon, I'm screwed.
But they never even replaced his body. They just cleaned it up a bit, so shouldn't he already be a human? The next morning, Andy heads to school. And also, why the hell does Phil look so goddamn pissed in the scene? And my theory on Nancy coming home hammered might be true, as she rocks her new sunglasses to avoid the sun and to cover her hangover, as she gives Andy some good drunk advice.
Now, whatever you do, don't act nervous, okay? They'll smell a new kid a mile off.
As Andy's school bus leaves, you start to wonder, how the hell doesn't anyone see Chucky's little legs in public? I mean, seriously, doesn't anyone have a Ring doorbell camera in the 1990s? We then cut to recess, or PE. Well, I obviously don't know because there's a man ordering children around while other kids mind their business and roam around and play. Chucky manages to ruin one of Andy's schoolwork, but how did he even find his classroom? And how did any teacher not see a doll walking in the hallways? Andy tries to explain that he's being harassed by a kid behind him, but she just ignores him and gets mad at Andy. Luckily, somebody spreads the message.
You think this is funny?
Andy gets attention due to Chucky, but manages to escape as Chucky gets locked in the closet. But Miss Teacher doesn't like it when people are hiding in the closet in the 1990s, so she dies.
You've been very naughty, Miss Kennel.
I really enjoyed this scene how the teacher dies, but it could have been better. I just wish the ruler got bloody as the camera zooms out. Later back at Andy's, he gets in trouble for getting detention, where he tells the truth about Chucky.
Chucky did it.
But then Phil, using his American male aggression,
Open the door. Joanne, please. Open it. Open it!
he shows that Chucky's still home. But wait, how did Chucky get home before Andy? Didn't Andy leave first while Chucky was killing Mrs. Kate? And how did Chucky's little feet beat Andy to get home? Later that same night, the adults are talking in the other room, when Andy can obviously hear them. I mean, it's not like they're trying to have a private conversation with their loud asses shouting about Andy. Kyle comes to comfort Andy to give some really good sober advice.
I've lived with dozens of different families, and they always seem to send me away just when I'm getting comfortable. But you know what?
What?
Every time it happens, it just makes me stronger. Okay, and you have to learn that now.
But Andy, the pessimist, replies,
It doesn't matter. Wherever I go, Chucky will find me.
Later that night, Andy tests his courage, takes Kyle's advice, and looks for Chucky as he makes loud noise at 12 o'clock a.m. while simultaneously trying to keep quiet. Also, if he's so scared, why doesn't he just turn on the lights? He probably overheard me when I told him that the house works in reverse psychology. He's already probably woke everybody up.
I thought I heard something downstairs.
It's one of the children.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Chucky attacks Andy, and a fight ensues. When Phil enters, Chucky dips, and you can't say his death wasn't deserving or satisfying.
How's it hanging, Phil?
Unfortunately, Andy's foster mom and Kyle show up, as Joanne automatically blames Andy, instead of assuming Phil fell down the stairs.
Get away from me!
Andy gets taken away by the foster care worker, and gives Kyle a heads up.
He's still in the cellar, Kyle. Don't let him get you too.
So she trashes Chucky and casually smokes. When her feet accidentally discover Tommy, the family's original good guy doll, which I'm surprised she found because Chucky dug a pretty gigantic hole. So she checks on the one she threw, which surprisingly Chucky left without making a sound. She runs to Joanne to warn her, but unfortunately she's found dead as Chucky makes a new friend. It makes sense for Kyle to struggle while Chucky is almost human, so his strength makes sense, and so does his victory.
Bitch, you hurt me.
He brilliantly threatens Kyle to take him to Andy, and I really admire the scene because of Kyle and Chucky's conversation, as well as their altercation with the cops.
That's one of those good guys, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I love these things. What's your name, buddy?
Chucky.
That's incredible.
I'll say.
Chucky starts turning human as his nose starts to bleed.
Have you seen dolls that pee? This one bleeds.
Kyle takes advantage of Chucky's human state as she makes him fly off the window, and I'm sure it's physically possible for that to happen to Chucky, since he's almost human by now, even though he should have been human a long time ago.
Come on, step on it.
Fine. Just get pulled over again.
Just shut up and drive before I kick your fucking teeth in.
Also, wait a minute, if Chucky wanted to get to Andy and tells Kyle to floor it, and 5 seconds later, she does just that. She tries to run him over at the same spot. But you're telling me that they're already at Andy's?
Andy.
Then why was it necessary to drive faster if they were already there? And how is Kyle going to explain to the police about her actions that she was trying to run over a doll? Also, how are the foster kids or the workers not seeing this commotion outside?
Playtime's over.
But at Andy's foster care, there's a fire alarm going on as Chucky brilliantly causes a diversion and threatens both Kyle and Andy so well, as he still takes advantage of his doll form. But he's almost human, so Kyle's right arm must be really getting a workout.
Come on, Mike, can I get out of the building? Kyle? You did this, didn't you?
The social worker is pissed off at Andy and Kyle for thinking they're up to no good, which she has every right, but she didn't have the right to touch Charles Lee Ray like that.
Amazing, isn't it?
It was an interesting death nonetheless. Chucky's human strength closes the door, separating Andy from Kyle, but Chucky never locks the door. Well, that because he's small, but how come Kyle doesn't open it? Also, if they had all this time while Chucky was distracted, why didn't they just leave? Andy starts getting scared the social worker's dead, as Chucky then does my job reviewing this movie.
Snap out of it. You act like you've never seen a dead body before.
Chucky and Andy sneak their way into a truck, and Kyle chases after them. 3 things in the scene. How did the driver at the truck not see a boy with a knife near his neck by a doll trying to murder him? If the cop came through here, how come they didn't investigate the broken car that Kyle came from? And how come the police don't stop a mad woman from driving so recklessly? Even the firefighter does the police's job. Also, I know Kyle is in a rush and her car's already busted, but is there any excuse to run over objects in front of you, causing destruction, a mess, anger to the public, and yeah, never mind, you go girl. Kyle looks for Andy, but oddly enough, he's not there, so she goes searches somewhere else.
Hey, just what the hell do you think you're doing? What the fuck's wrong with you?
Let go!
Crazy bitch!
Kyle chases Chucky and Andy to what looks to be a good guy's warehouse, which I'm surprised the trucker didn't stop her from trespassing. Chucky, Andy, and Kyle coincidentally enter a good guy's factory, and you gotta admit, this setting is pretty fucking good in the Child's Play films. Chucky knocks out Andy in physics that shouldn't work on a doll's strength, nor should it work on human strength as well. I don't know, you be the judge. Is this not good acceptable, or do I just want to debate in the comments section from the internet?
What are you doing? I'm posting false information on the web. Why? It's fun. Someone picks up a strand of false information, spreads it around, and before you know it, a panic is created. Then you just sit back and watch the chaos.
Chucky starts the ritual and actually goes through the whole process. Was he successful? Nope.
What the hell?
Andy, run!
They go through a good guy doll box maze, with right turns being the only direction that Nancy takes.
Shit!
But I guess it works since they found an escape. Kyle sees a chute, and even though a murderous half-human doll is after Andy, she insists she goes first,
I'll go first. Stay right behind me.
instead of simply looking for an exit or a set of stairs. Also, how come there's no more dolls falling down when they climb up the chute? Chucky catches up and continues the chase, which Kyle stops. Also, that's just a metal slide bar. How heavy can it be? And if Chucky has human strength / physics, why not just lift it or squeeze it out of it? And also, what was the point of climbing the chute and putting Andy at risk when you were just gonna go down the stairs anyways? I'm starting to think cigarettes wasn't the only thing that Kyle was smoking at the house. And if I'm right, then she must really be having a trippy adventure, and she's trying to make the most of it, which I support. Kyle and Andy find an exit by the eyeball placer machine, but what's the point of having an emergency exit if it's locked? This makes no sense. What's next? False emergency exits?
Hey! This emergency exit is painted on!
There's no way out! There's no way out!
The dolls are stuck, piled up, but you gotta wonder, how did this even happen? Since Andy and Kyle didn't do anything that interferes with the good guy dolls. So a man who works there fixes the problem, but he dies. Also, why did he bring a toolbox if the problem was that the machine just had a power overflow? So what is he fixing exactly? Andy bumps into some controls that are for some reason kid-sized, even though despite the controls being right in front of him. Also, what's the point of having a conveyor belt and processing going in reverse if it's just going to mess up the production of the good guy dolls? What's next? A self-destruction button? Chucky hears the sirens and gets there in under a minute, in the same place where they were just looking at, but they didn't see him, I guess. Also, how did Chucky cause a diversion like that from there? And how did he even get up there? Did he go through the machine, or did he just magically teleport it? It doesn't matter, because Kyle stops him once again, as he lands in the hair placer machine, which was located ahead of this doohickey thing. So I'm not sure how it's back there now. Kyle says do it, so Andy does it. Wait, how did Andy know what the hell Kyle was talking about? She just said do it, and he presses a button. Do it!
That was easy.
Is Andy a mind reader? I wonder what he would have done if Kyle told him to show her what he's got. Chucky gets sent back to the machine to get destroyed, only to come back completely gone, with just his legs visible. But this isn't the end, because Chucky manages to tie the dead worker, and causes Kyle to get knocked out by physics that aren't applicable to get knocked out by anybody. And he did it all in under 30 seconds, with his legs cut off. And if a half-human killer doll with no legs can do that, then anything's possible. Also, why doesn't Andy just run at this point? He's seen Chucky at his worst multiple times now. How is he still freezing up? But he gets stopped by getting hosed down with hot glue. I'm assuming that's what it is. Or hot melted plastic? Or what is this? Tartar sauce? Andy saves Kyle from death, but not before Chucky gives one more surprise jump scare, which Kyle ends one last time by filling Chucky with air from the machines and causes Chucky to die for the third time in his life. Also, why didn't Chucky just open his mouth? Was his mouth shut closed from the hot substance? If so, why didn't the air get out of his eyes? I wonder if the police are going to believe this story with the bloody half-human doll body for evidence. But I'm sure the secured factory facility has security cameras, right? It's finally morning, and now we have Kyle and Andy's final dialogue.
Where are we going? Home.
No, not really. Due to the crazy night of deaths, destruction, mayhem, and chaos around the city, you're probably going to stick around and explain to the police. But I'm sure they won't think you're crazy, considering that there's physical evidence right there, along with security cameras that have captured the whole event, so there's zero way for cops not believing the story, and for Chucky to come back to life by human hands for a third time, right? And that was Child's Play 2. For starters, this sequel didn't have many flaws. The story and pacing for a killer doll trying to get revenge on a little boy was pretty watchable and entertaining, and makes sense. Most sequels honestly get made to cash grab on its original successor, and leads audience on without a good story or direction. But Child's Play 2 actually knows what it's doing regarding its first film, and delivered equally as good as the first one, if not even better, as we get a cool sequel story that makes sense and is pretty watchable. New cool deaths, upgraded special effects for the early 90s, an amazing location for the final battle, and a great bond by Andy and Kyle, played by Alex Vincent and Christine Elise. Honestly, I really miss the mom in this movie, but Kyle's character filled her role really well, as her bond with Andy is equally great to watch than him and his mom, if not even better. It just sucks that they're most likely gonna get separated by the law and social workers after this crazy night. But I'm sure we'll see Kyle again soon, probably in 31 years from now. Who knows? But I'm sure we won't have to wait that long for Brad Dourif to reprise as well as Chucky and return anytime soon.
It's showtime!
As he amazed the audience once again with his determination for revenge is very enjoyable to watch as well. His criminal thinking and threats to get what he wants, comparing this to the first film, I honestly think it did great for his sequel, and it was even more enjoyable to watch in the first film. It didn't contain bad noticeable flaws, but the only flaw to this film is just the beginning. Honestly, it just didn't make any sense. It really bothered me how we got no explanation on the two cops who didn't back up Andy and his mom's story, or how nobody talks about the blood splattery in Child's Play 1, or how they saw no human organs in the original Child's Play. It just doesn't make any sense.
I'm Chucky.
But I was mostly left with questions instead of reasonable answers in the first 10 minutes of the movie, which really frustrated me. But it honestly redeemed itself with the plot and the ending of this 1990s horror film sequel. So with all that said out of the way, I'm gonna give Child's Play 2 9 teenage rebellious 90s girls out of 10. It would have gone more, but the beginning really bothered me. If you enjoyed the first Child's Play, no doubt you'll have fun with the sequel, as it doesn't fail to deliver a good plot. And if you're excited for season 2 of Chucky on USA and Sci-Fi, let me know what you're excited for. And if you have a suggestion or recommendation for a movie to be reviewed, let me know in the comments. If you enjoy your time here, please leave a like and subscribe, as it can help this channel grow. As usual, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Stay safe and stay tuned. Bye.
To the end. Heidi ho!